Hey, thank you very much for tuning in. This is Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, the history of tattoo conventions with World Tattoo Events' Alex Van Dutch. And today is an awesome interview with Matt Gaughan, who has been going to tattoo conventions, I think since the mid 80s. I remember seeing him on all the covers of all the magazines like way back in the day when I was a wee kid. Anyways, this is going to be an awesome interview. Make sure that you let us know that it is working for you. I'm not sure where you're beaming in from. It could be hopefully not the Facebooks, but it could be Facebook or YouTube, or you could be listening to the podcast potentially as a replay. One way or another, if you head over to community.reinventingthetattoo.com or go to either of the app stores, either the Google Play or the Apple, then you can download the Reinventing the Tattoo app. And the very first link there is the event schedule, where we do all of these. I think that we'll pretty much do all of them live at this point, and then the replays go out, of course. Thank you very much for tuning in. This will be about a 5 to 6 minute introduction where I want to talk about our upcoming events, talk about our sponsors, talk about some professional development. Again, make sure that this is all working for you. And so please let us know. Oh, you know what? I need to click the button here. Starting now. Okay, so on our mobile app, we do have push notifications to let you know when these events are happening. So give it a download, and then you will always be up to date and catch them live. We have regular events like the Reinventing Drawing Groups that happen Sunday at 1 o'clock and Monday morning, bright and early at 9 o'clock in the morning. These are Eastern Standard Times. And every tattooer or artist or apprentice is encouraged to Zoom on in so that, we have a big group art draws where people are working on their tattoo homework and whatnot. It's awesome. Jason Lesser hosts one, and then Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network hosts another one. If you are a tattooer, then you should go to, everybody should really go to reinventingthetattoo.com/247. And I will give it a screen share here. And we have goodie bags. So if you, not only can you check out replays of all of the shows that we have going on, and there are so many, if you don't know which ones to watch, again, you could always go to reinventingthetattoo.com/247. And you'll see here right now, we've got in the RIT channel, we've got Guy Aitchison interviewing Hana Mantra. We have these drawing groups that I was talking about. And let's see if these load up here. I don't want to kind of doing this on the fly, but boom, we have a drawing group. This is a script drawing group, the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, and we also always have something going on in Spanish, which is cool. If you scroll down to the very bottom of this page, here's our sponsors. You definitely want to check them out. But you will see here a Reinventing the Tattoo sample pack, and it's got a little questionnaire here, and we will send you a sample pack, which is pretty awesome. It has got Cheyenne cartridges, a whole mess of Cheyenne sample cartridges, as well as raw pigments, and t-shirts, I believe, from some people. And if you've already gotten your goodie bag, you have to wait a couple months to get another one. And they will be different, though, as different sponsors and whatnot send us different things. So that is reinventingthetattoo.com/247. It's really easy to remember. Just pop down to the bottom and check it out. And feel free to share that link around. Okay. I'm at 4 minutes. This is great. I'm not even in and on as much as I usually do. Let's see some special upcoming events. What do we've got coming up? Yesterday we had a Creature double feature that had to get postponed. So it's going to happen June 29th. This is a Creature double feature with Tommy Lee in the day at 2 o'clock. He's going to be leading an automatic drawing session with doing like some creepy drawings and stuff. We recently did one with Jesse Smith. He was doing like what's in a blob. It was kind of cool. Everyone was drawing characters out of blobs. Yes, on the 29th, Tommy Lee Wentner will be doing creepy drawing, automatic drawing with Guy during the day, 2 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock Eastern, we'll be doing the creepy drunk critiques of Bob Tyrrell and Tony Rommel, Jannica from Norway, who does all the heavy metal covers, and Tommy Lee, and maybe some other special guests. I think maybe Fat from maybe he's in Portugal. He's another sick, creepy artist. Anyways, we have a really awesome creepy drunk critique on the 29th. So let's see, professional development is the core of the reinventing community. That is, if you go to courses.reinventingthetattoo.com, you could check out the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon. Started off as a 3-ring binder back in the day, and it's all of Guy Aitchison's amazing lessons in tattooing, as well as all the amazing guest artists that he has on. I know that let's see, Steve Butcher, Megan G. Morris, Russ Abbott. There's a whole mess of people that are contributing. And yeah, you can check it out. It's $300 a year. It also includes Monday night exercises every Monday at 9 o'clock, exclusive exercises with Guy Aitchison. There are apprentice exercises that are exclusive to the members every Thursday. The Reinventing Canon is good for, for tattooers of all skill levels. There are some serious badasses, but there's plenty of people that are early in their careers, just figuring it all out. So reinventingthetattoo.com, it's inspired countless tattooers to better themselves. And now with these exercises in this community, it's basically like an art gym. And it's amazing watching these artists come in, 3 or 4 times a week, doing the exercises. They get together on Monday, they tear them apart and critique them, and they get better. It's just like going to the dojo or whatever. Anyways, that's courses that Reinventing the Tattoo. There's also replays. Andre Malcolm's got an amazing koi sleeve design for $99. Let's see, BJ Betts has lettering, 3-hour lettering one. We've got Bob Tyrrell has an 11-hour portrait seminar. Anyways, check out courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. I've got some real world events and sponsors to plug. Real world events that Reinventing is going to be heading to include October 3 to the 6th, the 3rd to the 6th, the Paradise BYOB at Jiminy Peak Mountain Resort. You can call them and reserve your rooms. It is a Sunday to a Wednesday. It is a BYOB, which means that there will be some things for sale. But for the most part, everyone's bringing your own brains, brushes, beets if you're a musician, bud, booze, berries if you're a vegan. I don't know. Bring your own brains. We'll be doing a lot of teaching, a lot of webcasting. October 3 to the 6th. There's no website or anything. It's like a picnic, a BYOB. Let's see, November 12th to the 14th, we're heading to the Brussels Tattoo Convention in Belgium. It's going to be a pretty awesome show, and Reinventing will have a little mini event. We've got Nick Baxter coming over. Ivana's joining us to do seminars. I'll be doing a seminar. There's a whole mess of Reinventing tattooers coming over. So we'll do a subscribers get together. We'll do like a general art jam. It's going to be a lot of fun. November 12th to the 14th, the Brussels Tattoo Convention. What else we've got? July. Okay, so next year, 2022. So get out your calendars. Let's see. Hell City is May 20th to the 22nd. In Columbus, Ohio, we'll be setting up there. We've got July 8th to the 10th. 2022 is the Rock River Tattoo Art Expo. It's at Cliff Breakers. It's on a river. The what do you call it? The tattoo room's got windows overlooking a river, and we're not going to cover them up. It's going to be beautiful, as you would expect. Let's see, Guy's got a whole theater for Reinventing seminars, and Rob's got the tent. He's got a Milton's Ice tent and all sorts of historical talks. It's going to be a lot of fun. TattooArtExpo.com. The new website is still on the way. That's July 8th to the 10th. July 29th to the 31st, Rubber City Tattoo Invitational with Tony Urbanic. October 20th to the 23rd is the Paradise Tattoo Gathering 2022. That's the full-on Thursday to Sunday show. It'll be the 10th anniversary show that we never had. And that'll be, let's see, paradisetattoogathering.com, tattoogathering.com. I don't know, I got to figure it all out. It's next year. Okay, that is all of the real world events that you want to pencil in. Lastly, this programming is free thanks to our sponsors. We have Inkjet Stencils. Check out inkjetstencils.com. If you do a search online for their videos, do a search Inkjet Stencils, Andre Malcolm. He's printing out back pieces and sleeves on his printer in one shot. The stencils, it's amazing. But even if you're just doing bangers or any kind of tattoos, really, if you do your reference on your iPad or your computer, you print out your stencil straight from the Epson eco-friendly tank. Inkjet Stencils has the inks and the paper, and they are killing it. They are busier than ever. So check it out. Let's see, we've got rawpigments.co. They have acrylic-free and vegan pigments. They don't dry out in the cup. Lauren has got a whole bunch of interviews with raw pigment artists in the Reinventing community, so you can check it out. Rawpigments.co. And then let's see, we've got Dermalize Pro throughout the rest of the world. And then inside of the United States, it's Delize Pro. They are a healing wrap. It's designed to breathe. So if you're still using cling wrap that is specifically designed not to breathe, you should give Dermalize a shot. Check it out. They have a ton of videos. Dermalize Pro are all around the world. And DLize Pro in the States. Let's see, we've got tattoonow.com. That's my computer geek project. I am just about caught up with reinventing. I am now working with our 100 and some odd website clients to get them all up to speed, but also CRM stuff, SEO work. I'm doing all sorts of computer geek shit again. Tattoonow.com. And then lastly, GuyAitchison.com. Guy's making this whole channel possible. And his website has his paintings for sale, his prints, he's got DVDs, he's got his bio encyclopedia book, which is amazing. He spent like 8 years putting it together. It is 2 volumes. The Biomech Encyclopedia, if you don't own it, you should absolutely get it. There's all sorts of interviews. I think even Giger's in it and shit. So Brzezinski. It's out of control. The book is amazing. GuyAitchison.com. Check it out. And lastly, moving to the show, we've got Alex from World Tattoo Events. And World Tattoo Events is the most comprehensive site for tattoo conventions that exists. And it's existed like that for years. 10 years ago, I tried to take all of this information. I was like, oh, I could just copy all of the information. It'll be easy. And then I'll have also the most comprehensive tattoo convention. And after like 3 days, I was like, there's no way I could keep up. How the fuck does this guy do it? And 10 years later, man, it is without doubt the most comprehensive website for tattoo conventions. So worldtattooevents.com. And thank you, Alex, for making this show happen.
Thank you, Gabe, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to this new episode of the History of Tattoo Conventions with a very, very special guest tonight for me, Mr. Matt Gunn. Matt Gunn is one of the biggest celebrities in the tattoo world. I don't think that anyone remotely interested in tattoos hasn't seen his face yet. So far, we've been doing some live previous podcasts with the organizers themselves. And this time I had the idea after 6 episodes to let's do it with people which have been around at tattoo conventions for very long. And Matt Gunn is one of these people which has been around probably more than almost any other, probably over 30 years. And, you know, I saw him a few times. We met in real life, and he told me some of his stories. And I told him some of his stories are really, 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 really cool, interesting. And there's a lot I can learn from. And I hope here tonight to be able to explore more of Matt Gunn experience in his tattoo journey and in his experience at tattoo conventions. So Matt, welcome on board again. And first question, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. You can mention I also am a ambassador representative of World Tattoo Events. Yeah.
There's so much to say about you.
Yeah, I mean, I came to you saying I'm on more posters than anybody on your website. You did a search and was like, you're right. Nobody's face is on any more poster than mine on World Tattoo Events. So that's kind of how everything started. You thought I was really cocky, but then you checked it out and was like, I was more than right. It was like beyond anybody by a dramatic margin of faces on actual tattoo convention advertising and posters and all that. So I was like, wow,
which
really
one,
right.
So let's get right into it. Which one was the first poster you ever been published to?
Oh, Venezuela 2013 National Convention. Yeah, Emilio Gonzalez, my great friend. Hi, Emilio. His convention, he started me in it. I did a small show that I didn't really consider a real show. It was, yeah, more like a garden party, honestly. A badly planned, supposedly 24-hour tattoo convention where everybody left after 7 hours. And that was in Costa Rica. It was called Taboo. The owner lost money. The show was never repeated. They had problems paying people. So I don't really consider that a real show. I was on the poster. That was in 2012, but just, you know, right turn of the year, a couple months later, January 2013 was my first real big show, advertising, face on the poster, the whole deal. So yeah.
So
yeah, I do that.
So this was your first. This was your first tattoo commercial as a special guest.
Yes, first time I was my second show on the poster, first tattoo convention where I was properly advertised. I was with other acts, other people, but it was a huge real show compared to a little gathering in Costa Rica that produced $12,000 loss, $17,000 loss for the organizer because nobody showed up. So yeah, I had a
Wow.
first fake attempt show that didn't really do anything other than put somebody into extreme debt. But yeah, but the real show where that was successful was Emilio Gonzalez, 2013 tattoo convention. Emilio started me in the business. I thank him for that. He tattooed my eyes the second time around, and he does a lot of shows himself. But yeah, he started me in the tattoo convention business. Because I was very antisocial, and he wrote me a few times, and he convinced me to give it a try. And I've been doing shows ever since. So
Okay.
yeah.
And like again, like I skip a little part, which is the fact. I mean, everybody knows you, but if let's say somebody doesn't know you, how exactly would you introduce yourself to somebody who doesn't know you?
I mean, a lot of people who've never seen me at all, but they're like all walks of life, older ladies, they just not in cultures or anything where they don't even care or look at tattooed people. So even if they saw me in the media, they wouldn't even be focusing their eyes. And I just tell them, yeah, I'm a walking tattoo man. I'm a tattoo man. People see me and they take pictures with me at tattoo conventions, and I sometimes appear in museums as a living, tattoo art exhibit, tattooed man. So I just tell them, yeah, I'm a walking tattooed man. I mean, not really much of anything else to say other than that. I'm famous in some circles, not famous in others. So
okay, so
yeah.
But when you got started doing conventions as a guest, I mean, you were already quite famous for
yes.
appearing on a lot of magazines. I mean, I've been seeing you around for probably over 30 years within tattoo magazines.
So
I still remember the first the first cover I saw you with your face in it, and I thought, wow, that blew me away. And I still remember that very clearly. Seeing you on that magazine, that was probably, I don't know, maybe 1995, something like that. I don't know, that you were already probably on covers, but no, that was in 1995. When did you complete your face tattoo exactly?
Oh, 2005, I started it. Mary Jane finished it, 2006, 2007. Sailor Cam Cook worked on it in Washington. He did a little bit. It was started, it was kind of like mainly Mary Jane Hack is the one who did my face in 2006, 2007. I mean,
but you already had.
Yeah, I had my whole head.
I missed it by 10 years.
I had my whole head and face. I had my whole head except for my face tattooed since 2098. I had my entire head was tattooed in 11 months, right up, including sideburns and right up to the jawline, but I didn't have this part of my face that was not tattooed. So that was done, and I had a full body suit, my hands and everything to my feet tattooed. It was 1998, and then 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, I went and had my face outlined and started, and then moved on. And then I wasn't happy with the artist who started, so I went and he never finished it, and I went and had Mary Jane and Cam Cook do all the completed work.
And how did you decide to do your face as well? What will let you to do that?
Oh, the face was actually, it fit. My whole head was already outlined and gridded out. So all we had to do was connect the lines from across the face, top to bottom, and fill in the last 55 checkers. But when my whole head was done, it was done to look like this. And then we just simply didn't tattoo this mask around the face. I was at a job where they would not let me get my face tattooed. So they let me agree to get everything else done. And I spent between like 1999, after I had my head and face done, until 2005, touching up my entire bodysuit. So I had a whole second layer done. I had my hands done. I had a lot of little detail work, and I've had my bodysuit done. I've had the checkers black 3 times, maybe up to 8 times in some areas. So I had all this detail work. So when all I had to do was fill in the last 55 checkers on my face. We did that was all that was left when it was time to do my face. Then maybe the ears.
So that was
that
was a natural progression.
Yes. I had a full body suit. Then I had my head my head and neck, and I had, you know, everything done except for my face. And then after I had my head and face, I had my hands gloved. It wasn't like a decal tattoo. When we looked at the hand, we're like all the way to the fingertips. We're doing the palm, the whole deal, and did everything. So people didn't do gloves. Now they do gloves all the time. But back in 1998, people didn't get just gloves. They would think hand, you'd get hand, but you wouldn't do gloves as
No
a
gloves,
whole hand
yeah.
tattoo. Yeah, so that was one of the early full gloves, fully planned out entire hand tattoos. And I have a matching set food on my hands, meat and vegetables. And I have the spirals done by Kensho and Brett McEwen. Kensho II of Japan, and also of Amsterdam, and Brett McEwen of New Zealand did one palm too. So,
but that wasn't the first time you tried to do your palms, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
I see you tried
no.
a couple of times.
Oh, I did all kinds of experimenting. I even did an injection test, but that only left a couple of dots. Bill Loika tried and did his only time in his career machine stippling a palm, and he got it in. It took like 3.5 hours, but he was falling asleep. He was disinterested, and that's the last time he's ever going to do this. It was one experiment his entire career to stipple tattoo a palm, and 3.5 hours. He was doing it. He was done. He never wanted to do that again. It just wasn't his thing. It was boring to him. So,
how did you convince him to do it?
We were in the same magazines in the early 90s, the late 80s. Every time I saw it at the shop at Sawyer Tattoo, it was like he had all these tattoo magazines he was in back then, and you flip a page over, a page before, there's me, or I'm on the cover, or, in both. So I was in all these magazines that his early career had pictures of. So we have a long relationship. He had tattooed the Italian lira on me in the 2014 Florence Tattoo Convention, so I already been tattooed by him. Yeah. I had the monetary symbol. He did that on my ankle at the 2014 Florence, Italy Tattoo Convention, and we kept in touch. And but we've known each other off and on, just through the tattoo conventions. We knew everybody. It was like speaking a different language, because I know everybody he used to know. And back in the USA, back 30 years ago, I mean, we had a lot of familiarity of people. And so it was easy, and somehow I talked him into doing something he never done before. And he came in on his day off, did this experiment on my palm, and that was it. One time, you got to try everything in your life, and stippling the palm was enough for Bill Loika. I'm proud to be tattooed by Bill Loika, though. He's a great artist, great guy, great everything. He is classic, old school. He's he's like the best. I don't know what else to say. He's the best. He literally is everything he dreamed of as far as what a tattoo artist could be. Few people can ever become that far into tattooing where they're actually satisfied with what they become. And Bill Loika is like, you did it, and you wanted to be a tattoo artist, and you defined what a tattoo artist is. So I was very proud of him tattooing me. But Kensho and Brett McEwen also, they wound up doing my hands by hand technique, because the stippling didn't work that great. So that's where we evolved and do hand stippled palms.
And that stayed, right?
Yeah. We tried by machine. It didn't work that well. And then I went and had it just hand hammered in by Brett McEwen, who got it in really good, but it hurt like hell. And it hurt less with Kensho II, who did the other palm.
It was a little bit more delicate or something.
Pushing it in versus hitting it with a hammer, because you're hitting a stick with a hammer. So one is carpentry more than tattooing, and the other is pressing it in. So yeah, it's more like tattooing. So it's a whole different concept with hammering it in, and some of the island tattoo styles.
And tell me about your eyes. I know part of the story, but how did you decide to get your eyes tattooed, and why did you do it? And who did you convince to do it first?
Who convinced me to do it first? Nobody convinces me to do anything.
Who did you convince to do it?
Nobody. I tattooed my own eyes originally in 2010. I don't trust. Yeah, I don't trust artists. I know how to tattoo. I've touched up my own bodysuit with my own equipment. I've done everything. I've done all kinds of experimentation with machines, with hypodermic injections. I'd already tattooed my tongue and inner mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I have a
seen
blue
this a few
tongue.
times.
So after I built up to things, I literally ran out of room. You know, my whole body's done. Everything, the soles of my feet never stayed, but that's about it.
But on your eyes, did anybody
My
do it
eyes.
before you? Or you were the first one?
Oh, no, I was probably the 10th person, maybe 20th around back then. I heard about a couple of people who had done their own eyes. That's what gave me the idea. I don't trust people as far as doing unusual body modifications. I'd literally rather scalpel and put an implant in myself than have someone else do it. But I mean, I'm not in implants, but weird stuff like I did my own tongue and the eye, I did my eyes. So it was hard to even trust a second person to tattoo my eyes later on. But let me talk about the first time they doing it. I was following the original invention of eye tattoos. I'd already done my tongue independently, and I took a couple days to convince me. And it was easy to get hypodermics. I had the ink at home, and I experimented with my eye, and it was rather easy. I was quite surprised for me.
How long did it take to do it? And did you do one eyes first, or you do both at the same time?
I would do both at the same time. I did one couple sessions. I did a lot of experimentation. I have 6 different colors in my eyes. So we have weird computer laser optical images of my eyes, and there's 6 colors in there. So I experimented. It was when there's so few people with their eyes tattooed, and the technique was much different then. They have a technique now where you can only take, 2 or 3 shots in the eye. But back then they were stippling it, literally building it almost dot by dot, section by section with the injection. So it was like stippling with a hypodermic needle into your eye. And, compared to today where they can manipulate the eye, rub it a little bit, and it spreads all over automatically. So
yeah, because most of the time I see only solid colors. I don't really see multicolors eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're the only one I've seen so far. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen that many other people like that. All right, okay.
Back then I was like the second one who had multicolored eyes. And when I did my eyes, I became the one with the most colors in their eyes, at least temporarily. Right now, it's hard to find anybody with over 6 colors in their eye. You're getting into dangerous territory when you use too much ink. A lot of people get damaged, and it's a very dangerous thing. But the eye thing, I already did my tongue, and the tongue swells up, and I'd already done all the way down to my tonsil, back of my throat, my epiglottis. I literally did inside my throat, hypodermically tattooed. It was experimenting. There's YouTube videos on it. I am responsible for modern day tongue tattooing. But after doing that, and that nearly killed me because I swelled up so much in my throat, I had to stick a tube down my throat and stick crushed ice all over my neck and my mouth. I literally almost suffocated from tattooing my tongue. And with the eyes, so that led to the eyes, meaning, okay, I can only go blind compared to dying.
Okay, I can only go blind. Well,
yeah, compared to dying.
That's a way to minimize.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of built up the courage after doing my palate, my lower palate, my gums, all kinds of weird spots, my cheeks. It's blue inside my mouth.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah. What do you think is the most extreme type of tattooing or body modification you did on your body?
Oh, the back of my throat, the throat and the tongue tattooing. Absolutely. Like I said, one can kill you, but the eyes will only, I've had a problem with my eye tattoos one time, but I healed in 3 months. That really wasn't much of an issue in comparison to waking up and having a thrown up throat so swollen I could not breathe. And I did have a fishing aquarium tubing ready, and with lubrication, and I had to stick a tube down my throat to just be able to breathe and not die, instead of getting a tracheotomy. So yeah, that's what happened with my tongue. I woke up in the morning, I laid down, all the blood collected around the freshly tattooed tongue and the throat and closed up and almost suffocated me. So yeah, after that, just only going blind was nothing. Once I got the hang, I did one eye first, then I did the other. Once I got the hang of it and realized was difficult, but technically I'd already achieved with the tongue and the mouth, all the other experimentation, that I had the skills that I could easily finish and do my own eye.
So do you do
yeah.
these kind of experiments on other people as well?
No.
Ah,
I have,
It's
I
only
am,
for yourself.
yeah, I have videos on YouTube. I've been in the media for 10 years. I'm like the second person to ever do their tongue with a hypodermic. The first guy did a different technique and ended up with a lot of keloiding on his tongue, and he could barely talk. I have a couple of little small lentil size, rice size scars, because I tried his technique first, but I changed it, and I didn't get any scar tissue after that. So the first person did it, but he was in Canada, but he screwed up and scarred up his tongue, and you could understand him speaking. So I did the first person to do it successfully, I guess.
Successful. So
yeah.
what pushes you to do it? You know, knowing it could go really, really wrong. I mean, you know, what pushes you to cross these boundaries of body modification?
Oh,
What motivates you?
my medical issues. I mean, I have kidney disease. I'm already technically have a terminal illness. So a lot of stuff I've done in my life were because of is medical related. It just, honestly, when you're kind of at the edge in life, medically, health wise, it's really hard to care about risk. You're just like, compared to what they do to me in a hospital, this isn't anything. I mean, this is a minor risk. I mean, most of body modification is easy. Anybody who worked as an EMT could probably do it. It technically it's very simplistic, just injections and stuff like that. If you do it wrong, you could kill someone though. So it's, you know, I don't know. It's minor medical procedures. Yeah.
Okay, but again, like, it can be it can go very wrong as well. I mean, do you know of any case of people, you know, like, for example, getting really blinded by getting the eyes tattooed?
I know several cases, and a lot of them got on an airplane right after. That's been the weird leading thing.
The eyes.
Yeah, I'm the first person to actually. Right? Yeah, I had my eyes tattooed. I went on an airplane after the second time when Emilio Gonzalez, he did a perfect job tattooing my eyes. This is not his fault. This is my fault. 4 hours after he tattooed my eyes, I got on a 17-hour international airplane flight. And I am completely responsible for doing that, and not thinking that the pressure with these separated layers in my eyes would have a problem. And I discovered it firsthand that I totally screwed myself going on an airplane. My eye swelled it took 3 months for the swelling to go away. They weren't sure what was going on. They put me on steroids, but basically they just said, lie down, don't move for 3 months till the swelling goes down. Put Vaseline and optical medical grade lubricating lotion on your eyes, because you're not, you know, your eye, so they don't get dry, and just hope the swelling comes down. So yeah, but that was all my fault. And I've caught other people who've had eye problems, and when I go, you didn't go scuba diving or had major altitude change, like maybe being in an upper atmosphere in an transatlantic international flight. You know, we're spending 17 hours in airports afterwards.
So what is it like? The pressure like pushes your new ink out of something, or what happens?
It keeps the layers separated. It's basically like when you tattoo the eye, you somehow have to put ink perfectly between 2 layers of tissue that is the thinness of saran wrap, of plastic wrap. And if anyone who's played with plastic wrap, you know, like in food service, you can't put 2 layers back perfectly if you stretch them a little bit. If you it's hard to put perfectly back, millimeter, very thin layers of saran wrap tissue together. When you tattoo the eyes and you're normally on land, no problem. It's going to stay in the eye. You don't have any air pressure, but it's, basically it bounces right back, and you only separate the layers for a little time. My problem was I got on the airplane and the pressure forced the 2 layers that were separated for the tattooing to the pocket to stay open. So they stayed open for 17 hours instead of staying closed immediately after the tattoo was done. I really the pressure just beat up the eyes really, really bad.
So if you're getting an eye tattoo, don't take an airplane afterwards. That's what we're learning here, right?
And in no way is Emilio Gonzalez responsible for this. This was me. I'm the first person to discover it. I did it. I recommend Emilio to tattoo my eyes. I would let him do it again. He did a great job. He's the man. He's the best in the world. And he's the only one I would trust to work on me. And it took a lot of courage just to even trust another person to tattoo my eye. But he did it. I tattooed my own eyes. I know what I'm talking about. It's just like I tattooed eyes before he started tattooing eyes. I mean, my own eyes before he got into eyeball tattooing. So I know what eyeball tattooing is all about. And I know all about the technique, and because I've done my own eye. So basically, I can say professionally, it was nothing about Emilio who did wrong. He did a great job. I was very happy with it. My stupid ass goes on an international airplane flight, actually 3 of them to get back home because it was from Romania to the US, and crazy situations, airports, all kinds of different pressure. And that was all me. And I shouldn't have subjected my eyes being freshly tattooed to that.
You were responsible taking care of your new ink. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It's like going into a swimming pool after getting a fresh tattoo. It's like, but basically, yeah, I irritated the skin after it was tattooed, and it was swollen like any tattoo in any skin, except mine happened to be my eye. I've been told this. I've had 4 eye doctors, big name surgeons, eye surgeons. I've been into the local Portland eye hospital. They've examined me, and they even said, yeah, you should never have gone on the damn airplane after you got your eyes tattooed. This is your fault.
They didn't say you should have not tattooed your eyes. They told you
Yeah.
you should have not gone on the airplane after tattooing your eyes. That's fine.
Yeah. They're like, Emilio Gonzalez did not do anything wrong. I have 4 doctors, eye surgeons, retina specialists, all saying that it's all my dumb fault for going on an airplane after getting my eyes tattooed.
But after this event, did you have any other problems on your eyes, or you're perfectly fine?
Took 3 months for the swelling to go away, but they were kind of lumpy, but I still worked and I still traveled. They were just a little swollen. I had to use like drops on them for 3 months. But honestly, after a month of Vaseline on them, I resorted to drops, and everything came out fine. There is no scar tissue. There is nothing, no problems whatsoever. I'm not wearing glasses, and I have no eye problems whatsoever. I temporarily screwed up myself by going on the airplane, but I recovered. Going on the airplane. Yeah, but I have no permanent damage. I've been to four optometrists.
That's good.
Yeah. I've been to.
Can you also read well?
Yeah.
Can you read well without glasses? No problems.
Well, it depends on the size of the print. I wear I wear like 0.75 grade magnifying glasses, which are nothing. I mean, they're nothing. These little stupid things that you get for $2 at the store, and that's the only if I want to read a prescription label. But we're also talking we're talking 8 years later. I mean, he tattooed my eyes in 2013. It took after 3 months. I mean, about a year later, I was able to read normal. I was even back then when I recovered. And in 2014, I was easily able to read prescription bottle labels. My eyes have gone slightly bad over the years, but that's comparing to me.
But that's also aging. I mean, despite the ink in your eyes. Hey, Matt,
my other issues in my spinal cord can affect my eyes too. So they're even saying now any eye problems are definitely not your eye tattoos. So you can have other medical issues that affect your eyes or medication and everything like that. But it has I have 4. Let me just repeat: it was not Emilio's fault. It was my fault, and I have 4 major eye doctors that have said it's my fault. Okay, because Emilio is perfect, and I recommend him for eye tattooing, and would go back to him again. But I will not say his name in evil. I would never say that man's name in evil.
Absolutely not.
He is.
Where are you on that?
He is the best.
We know he's very professional. He's the most professional one in the field.
He does the wildest stuff on the planet. That's the only reason I trusted him. Yeah, So,
Matt, coming back to the show. So you say like the show for Emilio was the first one you attended like professionally as a special guest. Yes. What was your first tattoo convention you ever been to?
The one where I met Guy Aitchison. Austin.
We're on your podcast now.
Yeah, that would be, well, it's true. The first one I met was Arlington, Texas, 1989 tattoo convention. And everyone was there. What? Oh, yeah, everyone was there, though. Everyone. It was one of the bigger connections for people for their entire careers. It's where
Arlington.
Guy, yeah. Arlington, Texas, National Tattoo Association, 1989 convention. Guy was an apprentice. That convention was right where he met Greg Culls, and they traded tattoos the first time. That started his connections with Aaron Kane. That was one of the primary connecting shows of Guy's career in the early days. It's like, that's really where he connected to everybody. And then it just grew from there.
At that single convention, who organized that convention?
National Tattoo Association.
Yeah. Oh, the national. Okay,
yeah.
so that was one of their early events, probably then, because now they did, I think, 33 editions or something.
Oh yeah.
So
I was already had half a bodysuit by then, and I was age 19, so I was getting a full bodysuit and just crazy about tattoos. When people my age
did you have many
weren't
people
doing it.
at that time with half of a bodysuit walking around?
Oh no.
30 years ago, 32 years ago.
No. Who had, we had nothing back then. It was just like, if you had a big side tattoo, that wasn't the same old crap. It was just like, anything different was what they wanted back then. I mean, and if you're a girl, it didn't matter if your tattoo was a size, 3 centimeters square or something like that. They didn't care as long as you showed skin. It was real cheesy back then. There was biker magazines and stuff like that. Then they got bought out by corporations or turned into corporations, and it evolved into the modern media we have today.
That changed quite a lot. You started getting tattooed at what, like 16 years or something? 16 years old? 14
years old, I did India ink on myself.
14.
And then
okay.
Yeah, then at 15, I got my first professional tattoo, which at the Chicago Tattoo Company by Pete Calafucci, who is long dead, like 25 years dead. But that was like the original crew at Chicago Tattoo Factory, on Broadway in Chicago. It's like you can't be from Chicago, no tattoo history, without knowing Chicago Tattoo Factory. It was like the shop that back then in 1985, 86. So at 15, my mother gave me my Christmas present and had me get a professional tattoo to cover up the original India ink self-done tattoo. And later on, and then I was okay happy, but then magazines came out in 1985, and I saw this guy Roy Boy Cooper, which was 100 miles away in Indiana. And a year later, I was going to Roy Boy. I had the original cover up redone, retouched up. Then I had more work, my side tattoos.
Your rib cage, right?
Yeah.
The skeleton on your rib cage.
Yep. Yeah, my famous rib cage.
Did you ever, because that one is like what, 30 something years old as well?
Oh yeah. It was 1986 was when that was done, and that got me to every magazine in the world.
Yeah, everything. I remember seeing that as well. And did you ever retouch it since then? Or is it still the original ink?
Never.
It's still the original ink.
Still the original one. I'll try to show it better.
Because it still looks pretty good.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's AIDS. It's like Dave Lum and Richard Stell and other artists. They can put it in one time. You never need it getting touched up. I've been tattooed by 160 people, and I'll say maybe 5 of them were skilled enough to get ink in perfectly on the first shot. It's a weird, unique skill.
Out of 140, it is.
160. 160. Yeah, I mean,
that depends also on the placements. Maybe the spot where you put on your body. I mean, that may play a role a little bit. Some which is less exposed.
Yeah, or if they're hand tattooing it, it always stays too. But I mean, in the Japanese, all their work stays. They get it in perfectly. It's weird. I've been tattooed by some of the best people in the world, and still it needed touch-ups. It gets weird. I have slightly difficult skin, but it's not like that. I mean, that shouldn't be an issue with some of the people. Like, that's why I had Dave Lum do my ears.
Yeah,
I mean, they're still perfect.
That wasn't easy too, I guess. Tattooing your ears.
Yeah, and he went right into the ear canal. And a guy in the last interview asked, why did I go to Dave Lum? I was like, because it's Dave Lum. I mean, it's really, he's one of those skilled masters that no matter how complicated or difficult the project, it'll be perfect. And Dave Lum was the artist to do that. Richard Stell on my throat. Even I had a little bit over the Adam's apple retouched off Richard, but that was wearing away through life. But never had his line work done. 99% of the coloring he did. I had a little spot on the neck that wore away through through shaving, but that's not his fault. And he'd done 6 tattoos on me. None of them ever needed to be touched up. So Richard Stell, Dave Lum, a few other people that never had a problem. They take people off the street all the time doing walk-ins for, 30 years in a tattoo shop. So they deal with difficult skin and problems all the time. And
all the time.
yeah, so they know how to, no matter how screwed up the client is medically, or even how bad they take care of it, they understand that they just have to get it in, and it's their mission, and they're good at it. And, rarely do they need to have their work touched up. So it's a whole nother level.
That's an interesting, I mean, it surprises me that there's so few artists able to do that, like then on a percentage base. It's a pretty low percentage according to you.
It's according to me, but also my work was a lot of my work was we're talking 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And Sailor Moses, he obviously, who did much of my bodysuit, and I'm a Sailor Moses last bodysuit. He died in 1987 actually. He died in 1987, and all the work he did on me, it never needed retouching. So I mean, I had a lot of the heavy deal old timer, Henry Goldfield. Never had a problem. Cam Cook, other people, perfect every time. And but those were a lot of the street shop people. The new generation, they weren't as successful in getting the skin and getting it perfect the first time in the skin.
No.
And,
what inspired you to get a bodysuit back then? Because I mean, again, there was not something that many people had at that time. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, first person I really saw was a guy named Hollis Fletcher, which is an early Ed Hardy bodysuit. He was in the Ed Hardy Tattoo Time books, and particularly I liked him. Stocking Cat helped inspire me to do my face, but he didn't inspire me to do a bodysuit. He kind of, Stocking Cat is when he took it for the face in public, but originally it was bodysuit. And the book, The Japanese Tattoo, that came out in 1986. That's like my first exposure to real bodysuits. Then, I went to the punk rock music place, found Tattoo Time, got all those books and Pigment of Imagination. So those were my first exposure to full bodysuits. And Ian of Redding's bodysuits, especially, were interesting. Oh yeah, he's really, really big inspiration for me. And yeah, he's retired after like 40 or 50 years. He still tattoos though. Just all these legends. I mean, obviously he rarely has to retouch his work. He's one of those artists who is just perfect the first time. Andre Jansen in Australia, New Zealand back then, now Australia. He had a full bodysuit back then, and we're all friends to this day. Me and Andre Jansen in Australia, they're all retired now and all that, but we're still friends. And I told them all about how they inspired me and everything. Paul Jeffries inspired me a lot too. I inspired a lot of Paul Jeffries bodysuits. He would show a lot of his bodysuits during the 90s and, and even till now, when he does a lot of bodysuit work, and he knew me personally. We had pictures, and he's like, here's an American bodysuit, a young, just like his new crowd. Because my role in tattoo history is I was 16 when I first got into magazines in 1986. They were adults only magazines, and they're biker magazines. They had women's breasts and everything, and all kinds of nude pictures in there. And somehow I'm in these, probably illegally, in all these biker magazines. And I was in like 10 of them between 16 and 18. And then I was in 10
but you were in a tattoo magazine as a minor already. I mean, let alone you were getting tattooed as a minor, you were already in magazines as a minor.
It was before computers. Different world before computers. Nobody
different
cared.
Word. Yeah.
Yeah.
No internet. No.
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of the models, you wonder their ages too. I mean, especially the girls. It's considering, it was a male-dominated world. There weren't that many female artists. I mean, we're talking 86, so it was just like, Mary Jane was a prime example of how difficult it was for a female to be a tattoo artist back then.
Katie, maybe.
Yeah, Vivian Lizanga, Madame Lizanga. Yeah, obviously, they all were special cases taken by experienced tattoo artists as a specialty, in their lives, and they were trained. And, it wasn't that many female artists back then, so it was difficult. So it was a whole different world then. So cheesecake in the magazines was common.
Were you getting tattooed at conventions back in the days? You know, for example, in Arlington, and then the conventions you've been to afterwards. Did you get tattooed at convention, or was mostly at studios?
Mainly studios, but because Roy Boy was tight with Gilmani in 1989, I got my Gilmani tattoo. I don't know if there's room. I have a skull right underneath my navel. I probably couldn't show it on camera, but it's over between my navel and my pubic area. So I wanted a skull, you know, above my privates, you know, watch out. And so I had my Gilmani skull put there. And I was real happy with it. He did it in his hotel room with his kids running around. It was a very crazy scene. And yeah, he was young and, you know, Gilmani back then. It was he was a hell of a thing in his day. I mean, you know, very, very, very one hell of a man. And, you know, the young Gilmani in his prime, it was a fucking beautiful time to get tattooed by him. And I got my skull from him. I've always been proud of it. Never touched it up, of course. Gilmani gets stuff in the first shot all the time. You know, give him credit.
He's one of the 4 or 5 artists you can put ink in, and then he stays there for life.
Yeah. At least who've worked on me. I mean, I don't want to insult other artists, but I've had a lot of people who've had to have their work touched up, you know, and it's a low percentage of artists who've worked on me who haven't had to touch up their work. And I know how to take care of my tattoos and don't pull any of that. You know, the customer's always wrong bullshit that tattoo shops do play on customers. Because tattoo artists do not like to take responsibility, especially if they're not very good, or if yeah, I mean, you know, it's the nature of the business. They don't like admitting mistakes. And a lot of shops do have sadly, they do have the customers always wrong kind of attitude. Whereas a lot of the good shops will look at it and go, oh, wow, maybe me, maybe you, but let's just touch this up and make everyone happy. That was the norm in the old days, you know, give me $20 $20 US or whatever to handle the machine setup. And we're just, you know, I don't care you or me or anything. You didn't take care of it right. You know, life is life. We'll fix it. And they just go ahead and fix it and keep a happy customer. So,
hey, Matt,
yeah.
Coming back at the conventions, you know, after this event in Venezuela, which event did you go next? And, you know, how did you really start to get involved more in the convention business?
Oh.
That's the part I'm really interested in as well, you know.
Well, Venezuela broke me in, and then I was still learning, and I started doing a bunch of little shows in Mexico that got me around. And once my name got out there there weren't that many people doing shows. There still aren't now, and it's a whole nother concept, being good enough to even work tattoo shows and to be on the poster. So, you know, you only had a couple of people back then. And, you know, there's still like 5 of us in the world who do shows. But back then, though, once I created a name for myself, I worked like 13 shows in 2013, 18 shows in 2014. I just pushed it and kept going to shows and kept making deals. And because I was a new face, especially, it was easier for shows to work with me. I slowed down over the years before the pandemic. So I went from like 16 to 18 shows a year to 10 shows a year up till the pandemic in 2019. And then
and where do you do most of your shows? Because I know you're very, very popular in South America.
Yeah,
right?
very, very popular in South America. Originally it was like 80% South America. I love South America. I get along. We all get along. It's great. I'm good at cultural nuances, so I don't insult people, which a lot of people, when you have international.
That's good everywhere.
Yeah, because you get a lot of international shows, and they'll see someone and they'll want to hire them for their show, and then you have a cultural problem with the person, and the show isn't happy. And I worked so many shows that I had a reputation of everyone saying, oh yeah, Matt's fine. You won't have a problem. In and out, no problems, easy. You won't have any cultural insults or issues or stupidity. I have kidney disease, so okay, I can't drink, so they'll never see me drunk. And, you know, I don't really do drugs other than my prescription. So it's just like, yeah, they're like, okay, Matt's sober and fine, works with kids, works with adults, and all around good guy.
But kids love you too, right? I mean, I always see with a lot of kids making pictures with you.
Oh, yeah.
At conventions.
The whole family.
Why do you think kids like you so much?
checkers, because of the checkers, because of the pattern.
Because
I
of the
picked.
checkers.
Most of my success is because I have checkers on me. Everybody likes checkers all over the world. All 34 countries I've been to. I was booked for 2 other new countries before the pandemic. It was going to be 36, but you know, Spain got down, and you know, Bolivia and all this stuff. I would have been in more and more countries, and I was by now, I think, because of without the pandemic, it probably would have been up to 40 different countries by now. But either way, I was hired for these shows. I mean, I was approved. Pandemic stopped it all. But so far 40 countries have accepted me because of the checkers and not been intimidated, not had a problem. It's just checkers. It's not like a bunch of writing or a bunch of scribble or a bunch of this or a bunch of that, or I don't know, all black with a bunch of weird surgical
Some random
modifications.
stuff on your face.
Yeah, or with all the surgical modifications and stuff. Some shows might be into it, but yeah, that's a whole nother thing. They're honestly, if some of them think they want to be in tattoo conventions, but honestly, they're going to be one-hit wonders, and and by a year later, there'll be 20 other people who look the same, all covered in black, with their ears and nose cut off and all lumpy. I mean, they're all over.
Yeah,
the
I think
place
there's
now.
a lot of emulation of people, who probably wants to work at tattoo conventions or in a show industry, that tattoo themselves, thinking to make a living out of it. Do you get along with any of those new faces?
It's up to, I get along with most of them, but I am kind of critical. I do. So I say, look, you got covered with scribble. You didn't finish your original tattoo. Then you went all black. Then you stuck a bunch of implants and had a bunch of surgical modifications. And you're like 3 other fully tattooed people, themes all cut up into one. It's just like, what the fuck is that? I have a fully laid out plan in a full bodysuit. I'm drawn, I'm organized. Like laying out a back piece, or all the great tattoos coming out of your shop and all the other, especially out of Vietnam, you're doing full bodysuits. And we were at Amsterdam seeing all these.
Asia.
Yeah, all of Asia, it's like you see people outline, not one bit of shading, but their entire body has no tattoos except an outline for a bodysuit. And
Yes.
I was like, that is tattooing. That gets you in the show. That'll do that. That's art. And having a bunch
What's
of.
the first show you did in Asia?
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
curiosity.
Hangzhou, China, Malaysia. Well, Malaysia was first. Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia. Then I did Hangzhou, China. Then I did Macau. Gideon from
Macau,
Amsterdam was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do the Asian people react when they see you? What's the reaction from the Asian public?
Depends which Asia. They love
China.
me.
Let's start
Yeah.
with China.
China. Well, when I dropped to my it was funny there. They all did me. I went through it, full business visa, the whole deal. I had a stack of paperwork to get in there. But the second I got in there and went to the show, the second I undid my robe and showed that I was wearing only a thong, I had 9 Chinese policemen with their cameras focused on me, calling headquarters at the same time, literally just, double doing it. All of them they were ready for a complete riot at that point. They did not know how to handle me, but literally after 4 or 5 people just taking photos, they breathed again, relaxed, and was just like, okay, this is cool.
Because of indecent behavior?
No, yeah, but because I'm covered in checkers, that's what saved me in China. The thing is, they're looking at me, but they're like, he's fully covered in checkers. I like checkers. You never meet anybody who doesn't like checkers. So it's like, who wouldn't like checkers? It's just like, it's one of those patterns that's universally loved. And once they figured it out and saw me posing with a few people with full body tattoos and saw it was just a tattoo convention thing, they breathed, relaxed. They all took pictures with me. And all that. That happened in Colombia too. And then I took pictures with every cop. We were literally next to the police station on one side in one show in Colombia, and the other side was a governor's mansion. And I'm in the middle taking pictures with mayors, governors, policemen. But they all had that moment. The second I take off my robe, they got cameras on me because I only work in a thong and a pedicure. I show more skin than everybody. That's my thing. They hire a tattooed man. Okay, here you go. I have a full, completed, artistically designed, well done bodysuit that's been touched up. You know, like all the great work in Asia. Just here, I'm drawn. I'm a real bodysuit. I'm not a bunch of scribble or black or whatever, or a bunch of screwed up themes interlocked together like crap, or some just badly done whatever. It's like, okay, quality design, quality tattooed. Okay, that's what saves me in a lot of countries.
Build up over years. Yeah.
Yeah, respect. You get respect for the art. They see the checker, and no matter where you are in any country, you know, even with the shock value, they're like, it's checkers. What can I do? How can I get mad at checkers?
Everybody loves them.
Yeah, they don't look like, I don't look, I have no prison tattoos. I don't have a bunch of writing that they can't even read because of the language problem. You know, I don't have like black with a bunch of lumps on me and a bunch of
You don't
surgical
have religious
modifications.
stuff on you.
No, nope, absolutely none.
No,
I am no
there you go.
religion at all. Like that.
And
But,
how did they
yeah.
how did they react in Malaysia? Because Malaysia
They
is-
love me. They love me.
All right.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did. They have a lot of bodysuits there, and the bodysuits they were waiting for me. I mean, they were really into it. Bodysuits traveled all over just Dakota Kinabalu for me. You know, it was a great show. Really happy there. But yeah, everyone with anything with even a back piece, they had to take a picture. And a lot of them were going with translators and stuff, going, "We saw you when you were a kid. We saw you when we were kids. You inspired us." You know, it wasn't
That's
normal
true. That's
back
what you
then.
want. I was a kid too.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, they didn't have young people getting bodysuits back then. Here we are seeing all these people under 25 with full bodysuits already completed. And back when I was getting a bodysuit, you didn't even finish your bodysuit. It took 10 years, and it takes 2 years now. But back then it would take 10 years or something for most of them, if not 15. Like Christine the Colorful, one of the earlier female bodysuits, hers took 15 years. I mean, yeah, so I took 10 years and then took 10 years touching the whole thing up. But, you know, it was just so rare to be young with a full bodysuit.
I've seen the shortest one here ever, which I've seen 3 weeks to do a full bodysuit. In
I've seen,
Vietnam, you know, and they have to keep the guy alive with, you know, how do you call it, the medical
IV.
thing to keep, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
keep you alive 3 weeks long, that being tattooed all day long. That blew my mind.
I see those with some of the geometric and graphic work. I see a lot of the rather simplistic and everything. I have a very complicated bodysuit that could never be done in 3 weeks time, even if it's 24/7. No, it depends.
no.
You get into complicated intensity and stuff like that. I mean, some are easier. There's a lot of 2-session back pieces out there, but they're simple. They're just very little color, very little anything, almost all outline. And yeah, and they put it in with a fancy rotary that has like 30 needles on it, and just, okay, you have a bigger paintbrush. When I was getting
Cover as much
tattooed,
surface as possible.
my back piece was not done with the Magnum needle setup. It's originally was done with a 5 flat, which was torture and took forever. And then a year later, the artist had learned about Magnums and finally was using, you know, a 7 and a 9 Magnum on me, and which was faster. But it's like I got tattooed before Magnums, and now they have all these complicated, multiple high-level needle setups and these rotaries.
Something, yeah.
And you can tattoo faster with a rotary. So it's a whole different game now, technically.
It's a different word. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
So what part of the world is your favorite one in terms of tattoo conventions? Let me rephrase it. You've been to quite a few places. Where is it that you still need to go in terms of tattoo conventions?
Spain. One thing about the pandemic that got me was I really wanted to go to Spain finally. I was
You never
accepted.
been to Spain?
Yeah, never been to Spain. That's one of those places. I had all these other shows in Asia I wanted to go to. I still wanted to do more exploration into Asia. I was hired, and I was booked 2 years in advance to all these new countries. And then the pandemic kind of stopped everything. But yeah, averaging at least 2 to 4 new countries a year. So I mean, some were little country. I always wanted to go to Belarus. I've been to Kiev, Ukraine, and I was hired again to come back there before the pandemic. I really, really like Kiev, Ukraine, because the show, the energy they had, the quality of artistry, the food. I mean, it was just like every animal you want. If you like eating meat, it was the place to go. The hotel was on a boat in the river. It was just, and they took care of me so great. I mean, I really enjoyed Ukraine. It's just like something about the place, and the treatment was so high quality. It was just so unique. It was like, I mean, South America, I'm treated well most of the time. It depends on the country, I guess. But you know, I mean, I really missed out on going to Kiev again, because I was tattooed there. Henry Goldfield, who finished my bodysuit, went there especially before he retired, or after he retired, he made a special trip in his life to go to Kiev, Ukraine, just because I was at the show. And for the man to finish my bodysuit, who trained the artist, who did my bodysuit, it was very personal that he went there. So that's kind of.
And when did you go there the first time in Kiev?
Oh, that was 2016, I think, or yeah, 2016, Kiev. And yeah, Peter Shenko brought me there. It was great. I mean, it was just such a great show.
Is it one of your favorite ones?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, but it was just so unique. I was treated well, and it was unique. A lot of shows treat you very well. Wow, Marco Leone treats you like a god. I mean, I can't say enough great things about how
Bologna
Marco,
Tattoo Expo.
yeah,
But you went to Olbia, right?
I was supposed to go to Bologna, and maybe in the future, when everything recovers from the pandemic, I will actually go. Marco wanted me for Bologna, but everything just got weird because of the pandemic. But I did Oblia in Sardinia show. It was an art museum, so I was an art exhibit for a show, and he brought me there. And he even said he wanted me for a long time to go to one of his shows, and I was there. It was successful. We got a lot of local media. Marco was happy. Right after that, they paid me, they tipped me. I love it when a show tips me. Yeah, it treated me like great.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you always know it's a good show with Marco Leone. You know, he's just, it's, you know, I mean, his shows rank up in the favorite shows, and, you know, it's just so great working for him.
He has been around for a long time as well. I mean, we had on one of the previous podcasts. I think it was the second or third, which we had on History of Tattoo Convention, because he made the first tattoo show in Italy back in 1983 or 6, in the 80s anyhow, a very old show. And he made the first one in Brazil as well. So by the way, I know Marco Leone made the first tattoo show ever in Brazil. And I know you've been in Brazil quite a few times.
Yes.
What's your experience at Brazilian tattoo conventions?
Some of the biggest shows I've ever seen. The biggest show I've ever been to still was the original Venezuela show. That was the large 550 booths. It was crazy. They literally rented an entire shopping mall for the show. 5 layers of balconies and people. It was the hugest thing I'd ever seen. And, you know, it was well organized for Venezuela, which is, you know, I got out alive and I was paid. So yeah, it was a good show. Emilio he rocks. He also does good shows. I mean, I had nothing bad to say about Emilio. I mean, you know, I look up to him. He's a great man. But Marco Leone, it's the organizers sometimes make the show, and, you know, they keep their word. Marco always treats you great. It's always a good show. So, you know, it's pretty much some of these organizers, like, who's putting on, is like, okay, I'm in, guaranteed. And yeah, so yeah, some of those organizers, it's just like that in the business. I mean, I've been to shows where they're new organizers, and most of the time it's pretty good. Occasionally, you know, they're newbies and stuff happens. I usually tell people to, let me get this. I usually get people, okay, sorry, technical issue. All right, I usually tell people who have shows, don't really hire much entertainment until your second or third year. You're going to lose money your first year, no matter what. Excuse me, I have a screaming cat.
You tell them that. Yeah, sure. Cat is hungry.
Yeah. It's a fat cat. It can't eat. Oh, that cat eats too much.
Cats.
Yes, I'm surrounded.
How many cats do you have now?
3 cats. And here's a fatty. Fat cat, real fat.
That's a big, huge cat, man. Wow. How much does it weigh?
Oh God, 20 pounds US, and it has tiny short legs and short limbs, so it's like a potato with tiny limbs. It's just, yeah, it's like a duffel bag. I mean, it's crazy fat, but it's one of the dwarf cats with like, tiny limbs and everything.
I know you love cats a lot. Do you have any
Yes.
cats tattoo on your body?
Mary Jane Hack did a kitty cat from a weird book I found at the store, a little tiny one on my knee. I couldn't show it on camera, but it's small. That's the only cat I have. I don't have any like tigers or lions or anything. If I did it all again, I would definitely get those. I have a lot of animals. I have bats on my back piece. Bats. I have Greek mythological creatures mainly, like phoenix leg sleeve, phoenix around my throat by Richard Stell, chimera chest tattoo. I have a Gamera. I have a turtle, but it's Gamera from the Godzilla movies on my shoulder is a big cover up. But yeah, not really any normal realistic animal. I have a Frank Frazetta elephant on my side, but that's like Frank Frazetta drawing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Hey, Matt, coming back to tattoo convention, what do you think is the role of tattoo convention in the tattoo industry?
Oh, their primary information exchange. You need, the people need conventions. They need to see the full bodies. They need to see tattooing up close. They need to see rooms full of people with lots of tattoos. They need to talk to them and interact and deal with them. You can only do so much through a computer. You need to be alive with these people to really understand it. And especially if you're getting large work, it really helps to see other people with large work outside of the tattoo shop with the same artist. You need to see bodysuits done by other people is what I'm saying. You need to see the whole big world of tattooing and all the different varieties of artists out there.
Do you think tattoo conventions did really help tattooing to become so popular as it is these days?
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Along with TV, is it more TV shows or tattoo conventions? Or both? Back in the days, magazines, now internet, but.
Yeah, magazines were like one of the primary things. You had the books, then you had the magazines, but then it jumped to like videos, and a American group called Aerosmith had a cow with a nipple with a earring through its teeth as an album cover, and that
I remember that one.
That exploded body piercing. And then Alicia Silverstone getting her navel pierced in an Aerosmith video. Everybody, all the girls in the world got their navels pierced back then who are alive. Everybody, that's what exploded. So yeah, the media definitely does it. Then there all the heavy metal rock magazines back then, and then into the other media all had tattooed people. And then you couldn't be. And now everybody is tattooed. So the media definitely helped the exposure and making people making tattooing seem normal. I mean,
more accepted.
Yes.
So how do you experience, getting tattooed these days versus when you really got started? Like right now, is it probably a lot more normal to be extensively tattooed? I wonder how is the reaction on people now to you towards, like 20 years ago or 30 years ago when it was probably a little bit more extreme than it is now?
Oh, it's a completely different animal. It's a completely different thing. I mean, back then you got tattooed. You could have bicep tattoos, and a lot of jobs wouldn't hire you. You wouldn't. I was told by artists in 88, 89 that don't get your forearms tattooed, you won't get a good table in a restaurant. Little things like that. I was told by jobs you can't have tattoos on your body. I was in a job that wouldn't let me tattoo my face, and I had to threaten to quit just to be able to get my head and neck done. And that was only after I'd been there and was at a high level. But a lot of people, you couldn't get apartments, you get screwed with by the police. It was when I got tattooed, it was bad. It was against society. It wasn't the punk rock rebellion kind of bullshit. It was like it was just getting tattooed at all or having any tattoos, even having sleeves. Suddenly, you were Bobby Badass and special and were something. Even someone with one sleeve or a couple of big tattoos. Not these days you're nothing. There's the girl in the corner has more tattoos than you. It's like it's more
Sure,
common. Yeah.
Almost anyone I know has more tattoos than me.
Right. Yeah. But you'd see at the gym or at the gym, you'd have, I had 2 large tattoos on me. So I was king of the gym with the tattoos. And it was just, it was special. Let's shut up, a cat. Stop. Okay, so you're gonna hear cats howling in the background, I think. But I don't.
So this last couple of years, yeah, you had to stop traveling as well. And I was just wondering, how did you, because you've been traveling for many years, like constantly, like 10, 12, 15, 16 shows a year. And how many did you do actually since you started to do it professionally? Like 140, 50
But
shows?
I think 150 shows somewhere in it. It depends what you count in, museum exhibition, other things, TV, or you add in TV shows, which I've done a whole bunch, and other things. But, I've been flown to Amsterdam to do a TV show twice, and it's, it's weird.
I've seen it.
So it depends on what project it is. But I've done about 150 traveling projects. 99% of the work was international. So I specialize in international work. With the checkers, I can work in any language. I don't have to explain anything to anybody. I don't care, especially in China, they're checkers. Okay, great. No problem. Yeah. You get in. Yeah, we understand that. No explaining necessary. I'm not reading shit. I don't have to ask my if you're a security person, you don't have to ask your supervisor, is this a gang tattoo or anything? They're like, yeah, okay, you're safe. My kid wants a picture with you. Great. So, it's a more of a universal acceptance thing with the checker. I don't scare children, which was one of my big selling points. Children's toys have checkers on them. So the kids aren't afraid of me, and I'm not that big. I'm kind of short. So I have medical issues, so I'm kind of short, and I have a kind of a harmless quality about me. I guess unless you know me, but it's just like
you look like a very nice guy, and you are a very nice guy. I mean,
thank you. But a lot of the shows are like, okay, why are you here? Especially for male. I was one of the, I'm very unique in the fact that I'm hired by a lot of female shows because they don't want to hire a tattooed girl to get attention. They're like, we're female, we're hiring a guy to take off his clothes.
A guy.
We want a male, women power, girl power, all that stuff. And we're females.
I bet you don't mind.
I don't mind. A lot of shows, I'll say 65 to 70% of the people I take photos with are female. So I have a very, very large, I have a fan club in Mexico and a lot of fans. I don't mind. I'm short, bald with a few teeth missing and all these other massive medical things, to be attractive male, hired for Mexican TV shows, which I've done a few, and or tattoo conventions, fine. But that really wasn't done before. When my first early shows, people are like, you have a guy in a thong, we're the strippers. They have this guy mentality, and they're heavy duty male steroid fucking macho kind of crap. And they're like, why do you have a guy here? We want to see tattooed women, blah, blah, blah. And then they see all their women taking photos with me, and they can go drink with their buddies. And they're kind of realizing, I'm serving a purpose. I'm harmless. Their wives are happy taking a picture with a tattooed guy. Then they go back home with you.
You're like a poster child of self-confidence to me.
Kind of, which is weird because I have these insane, crazy birth defects. I'm missing half my chest, deformed rib cage, and all the stuff that the tattoos hide. Yet I'm seen as a sex object in some shows. And it depends on some people. I don't scare children. Yet on the other end, a lot of girls want to take pictures with me because they're like, okay, pretty tattooed guy with almost no clothes. All right, I got to take my photo. Show it to my girlfriend. Yeah, show it to my girlfriends. Ha ha ha. And then the men with their heavy tattooing, they're like, okay, we got a heavily tattooed man. We're showing his tattoos. I got to take my photo with him and all that. So, and then the kids are like, I like checkers. And, I get whole families.
Photo.
Yeah. Either way, whatever level of audience I deal with, it's all acceptance. So and a lot of it is because of the checker. No explanation needed, simple. I have no scary images. I haven't surgically cut off body parts like my nose and my ears and gone to a tattoo convention and scared the hell out of everybody.
It's all still there.
Yeah, a lot of these people go to shows, but you're realizing you modified yourself to go to conventions, but you did so in a way that makes people repulsed and makes children run away screaming, and you're making children cry. I mean, I can't imagine going to a convention with no nose and ears, all black with lumpy, and having children not cry. I mean, your child would cry at that. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. No, my child has seen it all, but I mean, there's only so far you can go, you don't traumatize your kids.
Having amputations and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, you're a one-hit wonder. You'll go to a couple of shows. Brazil, they don't care. You'll go to all the shows in Brazil and all that stuff. But it's not realistic. You're not going to have a career. You're going to go to a couple of shows. But
that's something which is, again, those kind of extreme body modification thing is something which is, as far as I've seen, a little bit more popular in South America than other parts of the world. I mean, most of the people which I see which really extreme body modifications, they all come from either Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, probably Brazil. But why is that, do you think?
Freedom of culture. They don't care. They don't care. You can get anything you want done in Brazil, and the Brazilian people are great people, but they're very free. They're very free. They're with whatever they want to do. Nothing really stops a Brazilian person from doing anything. They just do it. So, I mean, it's probably why Marco Leone had his show there, and he loves Brazil so much, because they're just such a free people.
That's a good point. Yeah, he probably found like an open, like an opportunity to do something new, like doing a tattoo show in a place where they never did it before. So that makes sense. That was pure, genuine curiosity. Like why so many people come from this region of the world, and I think you gave a very good explanation to that.
It's just the culture, especially in then going into Colombia too, there's a lot of people, but especially in Brazil, you've got like 20 people all black in Brazil with the full black faces and the implants, and they're starting to amputate their body parts. There's just more there than anywhere else in the world. And I mean,
Colombia, you think is the most extreme one?
No, Brazil has the most extreme. Colombia is close enough, but Brazil is really, really the center of it all for more people with eyes tattooed there than anywhere else. More people with the surgical modification there. I mean, it's a little bit in Europe, but nothing compared to Brazil.
No, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's an interesting point.
I will say South America in general has more crazier body modification, surgical modifications than Europe, but it's getting closer to being more commonplace in Europe. It's certainly not common in Asia, not at all. Here you want
to see it now. No, how about United States?
Not even many tattooed eyes. Certainly no, maybe a couple of ear pointing here and there, maybe some implants, but not
all normal stuff still.
Not that much. I mean, just like, okay, it's nothing compared to South America, nothing compared to Mexico. I mean, there's a few things, and there's a lot of implants in the USA. But other than that, I mean, a few tattooed eyes, but really, I maybe there are more that I've missed or something. I mean, but still compared to,
What's the craziest body modification you've seen in South America?
The nose
something that really blew your mind.
Oh, I don't know, blew my more disgust. Personally, I can't, the nose removal, especially after, and that was before the pandemic. Then the pandemic came in and everyone's wearing a mask, and you're like, how are you going to protect yourself in a pandemic without a nose? I mean,
that's gonna be very hard.
And you look at that, honestly, that would scare children. That's my thing with that. Okay, maybe they can get over all the implants you have on you, but if you have no nose, I mean, hey, your will, have all the power to you. Nothing against you or all that. I just, I'm not going to introduce my kids to you. I'm not going to introduce anybody else's kids to you, and because you have your skull bone showing right here. I mean.
It doesn't make you like very marketable properly, even for a tattoo convention. At least maybe in some South American tattoo conventions, but probably in the rest of the world, it's still going to be quite difficult. So I haven't seen them a lot in the rest of the world, to be honest.
Yeah, people Yeah, like, what kind of accident were you in? It's just like, it's not, I don't know how fashionable it is. You know, what if you sneeze during dinner? I mean, what if you're eating and food comes out the hole in your nose because it's traveling up your palate instead of down? I mean, it's just kind of just, for me, it's also, I have a compromised immune system because of my kidney disease, and seeing people who are screwing with the respiratory thing. I have a pulmonary doctor. I just had an appointment 2 days ago with my respiratory doctor. And, you know, I've mentioned removing the nose, and they're like, that's the worst thing you can do. Those people are going to die young. They just cut off half their immune system, protecting the air going into their body. So yeah, I think it's almost more dangerous than tongue tattooing, because over the long term, having no nose will, you know, heighten your risk of getting death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
so-
yeah, that's rough. Hey, with all the experience you have in tattooing, did you ever consider becoming a tattoo artist, professional tattoo artist yourself?
I did, but I was around a lot of people who weren't very good. Once I got into it and started learning about it, I realized I would never be good enough, and I didn't have the, I couldn't be around people that long. I can be in controlled situations, but I was like, you know, early 20s. I had to learn how to tattoo to do my project. So I did that. I learned how to tattoo. The problem for me was the clients. It's just like, I couldn't deal with the clients. Honestly, it's just like, not everybody can be, they can draw, but if you want to be a tattoo artist, great, you can draw. But having to deal with these living, breathing, farting, complaining, clients, which is always a problem for tattoo artists, and having to deal with another human going through pain that you're inflicting them was too much for me. A lot of people drop out of tattooing because the reality is they're not drawing on paper. They're dealing with another human being, and that takes a whole nother set of skills that drawing is not one of them.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's another really great point. Yeah, and I probably had a little bit of the same issue here. I mean, I considered it as well myself when I was a lot younger, but I thought, that's not something I could do. I don't have the patience to do that. That's why I have a huge respect for the tattoo artists who are able to do that.
I did design. Yeah, I learned out enough to design my own bodysuit, to learn the techniques that the artist would be using, because I had to direct a lot of my bodysuit, and the artist would just stand there when I come in. So what are we doing today? And they'd be all kind of nervous, holding on to the handrail in the shop, and they like didn't know what I would be coming in wanting them to do. And they would know that I knew enough about tattooing to make sure that they're doing it right. So artists don't like really being directed by clients. But I learned enough to be able to do that, and I was a dictator asshole for my bodysuit. I was a complete tyrant, but I learned enough about tattooing to be able to do that and to understand.
Yeah, you only have to deal with yourself.
Yeah, and I was good with the artist. Once we had an understanding of what we were doing, and I'd bring in drawings and photocopies with overlays and all the artistic stuff, and the artist would look at it and go, okay, this works, I can do this. Then I'd let them work, and it would be easy. But we would have the initial design consultation, and it would be kind of stressful for the artist, because back then people didn't get geometric bodysuits. People didn't do that stuff. Maybe Islanders and stuff, but we're talking in even in early 90s, just starting with some of the tribal going on and some of the geometric. It was difficult. I actually
nothing like you have done,
I had screaming matches, almost gotten into fist fights with artists over trying to get my type of work done. Back then, they wanted to do the stuff on the wall. It was flash orientated. A lot of artists were not back piece, bodysuit mentality, large tattooing mentality, which you have to be today. In the early days, a lot of artists just wanted to do small little bangers all day long and maybe a few big pieces, but they weren't really into the bodysuit. So some of them were, but it was hit or miss. I mean, yeah.
Matt, what are your plans for after the post-pandemic? I mean, like we both being without traveling for 1.5 years. What are your plans for as long as you'll be able to travel? What conventions are you going next, for example?
Spain's on the list. Spain, Amsterdam, Brazil, of course. Hopefully I'll be able to get back into Asia. I have shows waiting. I have a list of shows waiting, but we'll see what we see. There's been such an amount of economic damage, especially in South America. So there won't be as many shows down there until they recover.
Yeah, and by the way, about South America, this is for anyone watching. I mean, me, Matt, and Gabe, we are planning to do a special edition on History of Tattoo Convention with some South American guests, and I think something this we can announce it now, probably for within a couple of weeks, probably. It is either next Wednesday or the following one, you know, and this is to explore more about South America, something which I know a lot less compared to you, you know, which I really would like to know more about, you know. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What's in your mind as well?
Probably be the following Wednesday. I'm at the neurosurgeon next Wednesday. I can't do anything. It'll be 2 weeks from now. I already have Alejandro Spider-Man of Colombia. We have Jose Arts of, you know, the legend of Tijuana tattooing. Luis Barrera, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. Tattoo artist, tattoo history person. Wow, yeah. One of his family members dated Zeke Owens. I mean, he knows everything about tattoo history in South America. He's a machine maker. He's just every level of South American and Mexican tattoo history. Luz knows. And then you have, you know, of course, Tijuana Cholo type tattooing covered by Jose Arce in Tijuana, and Luis covers like Mexico City. And then we got down to Colombia and all of South America, Brazil, because Alejandro Spider-Man organizes shows in Brazil, Colombia. He's been part of shows all over every country in South America, you know, Peru. He's helped organize at least 5 different conventions in 5 different countries in South America. Wow. He's the man. He's the one for it. So so far they're going to be on it. You know, we're working on the other 2 people who we've already talked to and set in. I don't know. Later on, maybe if we do a show on heavier body modification, we of course are going to get Emilio Gonzalez on. But that's a whole special show about that. But Emilio is almost a show in himself. So you know, this first show,
and that's a completely different field to me, you know.
Yes. Yes, I can definitely help guest on that because I know that part too, and I've helped translate for him. I've helped translate for Emilio in his seminars and everything before. So I know what he does. But you know, if you have to have anyone on body modification, of course Emilio Gonzalez is the primary person you got to get, and easily we can get him on a show. But he's going to be so much of a show that we're going to have a whole panel for South America. But then when we get into weird body modification, we're going to have less people, and Emilio is just going to take over.
Well, I think it would be very, very, very interesting to have like a good panel of really extreme body modification experts from South America, you know, and see, you know, explore what's the situation over there. You know, I think there's a lot to learn from. Again, I think South America is a lot more extreme than most other parts of the world, you know, in terms of body modifications. And I don't know. I know most of them, they're quite popular and visible at tattoo conventions, but I don't really know at what extent, you know.
Yeah.
So that's something that we probably can discuss together in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
The thing is, most of them were helped trained by Emilio. They all went to his seminar. It's like even much of them, the modern generation of body modification. Emilio was back 30 years ago with me. He's like almost my age, a year or 2 younger, but you know, he was back then 30 years ago in the early days of body modification. So all the modern body modification in South America can be tied, you know, ancestry, lineage wise, family wise to Emilio's work. So he's still kind of the king of the South American body modification, just for in time pin it. He's, you know,
we gotta get Emilio Gonzalez on board.
Yes, we will. It's just like he's a primary one. A lot of people, there's just like not very many people, or in the historical sense, have been in it longer than him. As far as that, I mean, most of the, you know, the older generation before him are now all dead. So you have him, then you have a new generation of people, and a lot of them took Emilio's courses. So it's just the primary pioneers of body modification, there aren't that many, especially the weird stuff, and the surgical stuff like he does is just out there. I mean, it's just not done that often. So.
Are you in general more into tattooing or more into body modification? I mean, for example,
tattooing.
You are more into tattooing than body
Absolutely.
modification.
Yeah, I'm a tattooed
Alright,
man.
okay.
I'm not a pierce man. I don't have a bunch of implants. I mean, tattooing, okay, I tattooed my eyes and tongue, but I don't, I have my nipple, I have a few piercings. I took out 90% of my piercings. I don't even wear anything in my ear. I literally only wear 2 nipple piercings. That's it. Don't care, just not into it. Never did a suspension. You know, I don't have a black arm or anything I don't have a bunch of that. I mean,
You
know,
consider
yeah.
that body modification as well?
A lot of people,
that
once
work?
they start getting the implants, they get black sleeves and stuff. It's just like they have a joke, the body piercer arm. They have a black arm. A lot of body piercers, we have one arm all black. It's kind of almost a traditional joke now with them. It's like, you know, piercer arm where they have the all black arm. It's like almost a sign of how to see them.
Why is it?
It's a cultural thing. You know, the more modifications you get, then you can't stop. And then becoming all black becomes a body modification, not a tattoo. So that's the mentality a lot of these people are. They're getting painted, they're getting wallpapered, they're getting patterned or whatever, but they're not getting tattooed like what you see in Asia, like, you know, like you see all over the world, like with the Ed Hardy bodysuits, with the Sailor Jerry bodysuits. They're getting drawn art, planning, lots of sessions and stuff like that. And then you have people going, I'm just going to get all black. That's more like technically it's tattooing. I consider that more of a body modification because they're just changing the color of your skin. Yeah,
I actually do agree with that perspective, to be honest. I do agree with that.
This probably
And I
explains.
struggle to really understand it.
This, like the London Tattoo Convention, it's all full of people covered in all black and a bunch of swastikas and stuff. And don't even get me in the argument about swastikas because I am Jewish, proud Jewish person who lost people in World War II and had people gassed in a chamber. So you will never, ever convince me that swastikas are good, but that is a religious thing. That is a religious right of mine that I can say. We went to Israel Tattoo Convention. I was tattooed with Razuk as the most heavily tattooed Jewish person in history, in the world, in the history of Judaism. I'm the most tattooed person. So, you know, I was a guest of honor at Israel Tattoo Convention. You were there and we were at Razuk. So sorry, I'm too Jewish to ever accept the
To me, it was one of my best experiences getting tattooed on the same day with you. I still have it here, like Jerusalem.
Yep, and Mary Jane.
And Mary Jane.
And Mary Jane Hack. Yeah.
And Shannon Romain was there as well.
Yeah.
Getting to do it from Holland.
Yeah, I have a 25-year-old bodysuit. I have my own cranky opinions that people might not agree with and agree to disagree and whatever.
Who cares?
You know, it's your life. Who cares my opinion? I have a lot of opinions. Who cares? But you know, really, whatever. Everybody has a bunch of fucking opinions. But
opinions are the cheapest commodity on earth.
Yeah, Dave Lum and all these old school tattooers went, you know, it's 2006. I showed them some of the all black stuff and they're like, that's not tattooing, that's wallpapering. That's painting. That's just coloring a whole section of skin. That's not art. That's just coloring the damn skin. Okay, whatever. You know, not my thing. I like to draw.
Material. Yeah. Man, that's enough material for a separate podcast. I think, you know, like a pretty good debate about this kind of extreme body modifications.
Yeah.
Matt, is there anything else you would like to say about you or your plans for the future that you would like to share with us before we'll knock it off for this time?
Okay. I will be doing shows. I'll be accepting shows after in September or October. I am having a major surgery soon on my neck, spinal cord surgery, actually. I'm having a couple of discs replaced in my neck. It's pretty serious. I am physically disabled, but I will be fine after the surgery. They're expecting a good outcome. And I will be accepting work, going to shows in September and October. And I medically should not be any problem to anybody. The surgery will fix my problems and everything. So nobody be scared off because of my medical issues and my disability. That just really means nothing. I'm getting taken care of. I have the best doctors in the world taking care of me, and it should not be an issue. And don't be afraid of my medical issues as far as bringing me to shows like that. I'm still the same old person I was. I'm in better shape and healthier because of the medical treatments, and shouldn't be any problems. So yeah, that's what I want to say. Don't be afraid to hire me because of my disabilities.
I'm looking forward to see you soon somewhere then again.
Yes,
That'll
yes,
be a
definitely.
good catch up
Well-
after almost a
well-
couple of years.
We'll be in Amsterdam again. I'll be in Amsterdam with you next year I'll be there in 2002, Amsterdam, Spain, probably next year. I have a bunch of shows in Mexico, shows all over South America, everywhere in the world, just all planned. And just depending on the recovery of the international economy, depends where I go.
Well, I mean, I guess we keep everyone posted about where we're going next. And by the way, guys, Matt, thank you so much for being on board with us today. This was Matt Gunn, the one and only. We'll be back soon with another podcast about the history of tattoo conventions, and possibly this is very good material, the extreme body modifications from South America, for a new episode. If you're looking for tattoo convention news, new dates from now on until the end of the year, there will be a lot going on for new tattoo conventions. A lot of them are starting again after the pandemic. So check out worldtattooevents.com or follow us on all social media. Thanks again, Matt, Gabe,
Thank you.
Reinventing the Tattoo, and Guy Atkinson for hosting us again.
Mhm.
We'll see you next time. Gabe, is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't know if he's there.
Gabe? I think Gabe fell asleep. Hey, Gabe, still there? Okay, guys. I think this was it for this time.
All right.
Matt, thanks a lot again. We'll catch up
Oh,
soon.
here he
then.
is.
Hey,
Here's
Gabe is
Gabe.
there.
Here's Gabe.
Hey, Gabe. We're about to knock it off for this time.
You can't hear him.
Can you hear us?
He's
We
okay.
cannot hear you. We good?